Well, folks, it's that time of day again, that time of week. It's time for Dow's Weekly Digest. So what challenges did you encounter this week? You know, I had a couple recollections. So let me share with you this recollection of it. I had to be in two places at the same time. And it didn't dawn on me until the day before. I got one of these reminder emails. Sometimes maybe you guys get those. It reminded me of this certain appointment I need to make. Well, at that point, then it hit me that I had to be in two places at the same time. And the one was starting 1 hour ahead of time, and the other one then it was overlapping of when the other one started. So maybe not, but under the wisdom like of Solomon, I decided to cut the baby in half. So I attended the one that started early, and then after a certain amount of time, I said, I'm sorry, I have to leave, and then I joined the other one late too. But that sometimes happens. Also, how about all the snow we had here in the hills? And we set all these kinds of records with 10 inches of snow, and luckily the pavement was warm enough I didn't have to shovel. The theme I'd like to choose this week is trust. But before we get to that, let me share some cowboy wisdom. Here's one I like. You don't have to give me a 50-cent answer for a nickel question. You don't have to give me a 50-cent answer for a nickel question. All I want to know is what time it is, not how to make the watch. And indeed, I can be guilty of that very much. So, cowboy wisdom. You know, you might be a Lutheran if rather than going up and introducing yourself to that new person in church, you go and check the check name in the guest book. You don't go and then say, hey, I'm Dow Bartling, how are you? Instead, you mosey on over to the guest book, and then you look and see then where they're from, and if they're even from Rapid or from the out-of-towners. But oh, Lord, you won't go and then introduce yourself. So you might be a Lutheran. How about this? I bet you didn't know this. South Dakota trivia. Did you know that South Dakota has more shoreline than Florida? Now, I didn't say coastline. I said shoreline. But South Dakota has more than Florida. That was a very much news to me. I didn't know that at all. Well, folks, what does the Bible say about trust? I'm looking at Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. And let me find my sheet here. Here we go. It goes like this. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths. Proverbs 3, 5, 6. So the theme was trust, not only in God, but also in each other, and indeed on yourself. So let me expand upon that, if I could, with a couple of illustrations. I recollect way back, maybe in the late 50s, 60s, here's Sergeant Major Bartling cruising down the road in that big, long Ford Galaxy, and I get in the back. Wait a minute, I don't get in the back seat. I get in the back by the window. I was big enough back there, folks, I could lay back there. You could lay back there and look in the back. In fact, even if the highway patrolman was behind you, he'd wave at you, because I had trust. I can't say they even had seat belts in those cars back then. And they were big as boats. Recollection. I've got this here. I've got the trust that I know with the law of gravity that I can balance this little bird right on the tip of this pin. And not going to fall off at all. Because I trust the law of gravity. And there's what? Weights on the wings, and back here, just in the proper balance. Trust. There was a young salesman. This young salesman, he lost an important sale. He had worked and worked and worked on this sale, and he lost the sale. So he's coming to the office to share the bad news. An experienced salesman representative said to him, "Just remember this, young man. You always need the racer's edge. STP." And he said, "What do you mean? You mean that slow gunk?" He says, "No, STP. See the people. See the people. You need to go out there, pick yourself up, and go out and see the people." The young man maybe didn't trust the advice. He says, "Nah, that's not going to help." He said, "You know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink." And the experienced agent said to him, "Young man, I want you to trust me and write this down. You see, young man, your job isn't to make the horse drink. Your job is to make him thirsty." Sounds like to me they didn't have the need. They didn't realize the need. You didn't explain to them the need. Again, your job isn't to what? Make the horse drink. It's to make him thirsty. Are you taking enough time to listen to your clients to make them thirsty? So what's your criteria for trust? And for those that you do trust, what elements do you have in the relationship there? If we could, let's open our folder. Let me tell you a little bit about what and why we put some of those things in there. You've been to meetings, and I have too, where we get a folder like this and it just gets set aside. Don't look at it at all. So let's look at it if we could. We'll start with his right here, okay? We trust these particular carriers because of some of the due diligence that we've done, rather than some other carriers. And believe me, we get contacted by a lot of carriers to try to represent. We want to bring you the very best. So there's some of the top companies in our industry, and we're able to do business with them, and we're able to offer them to you there. We try to make it convenient for you, and that you could download it on your phone, and you can do actually quotes right from that mobile application. Some convenience there. We understand at financial markets that it's two very important things: your systems, the efficiency, effectiveness of your system, but very more important, in the capital P, would be the people. They get the things done, and they really take ownership of it as they start to do the different processes. So this picture here of all our associates here, big important part of financial markets there. Mariah brought up the need for long-term care. Share this with maybe one of your clients. This comes from 2018. It was information from Genworth. Genworth, you can actually go into Genworth and take it by state, and they will go by state, and I think even down maybe zip code, and be able to give you information on long-term care needs there. I would recommend we make a copy of this. Get this, folks. Send this to our state legislature. Send this to your local legislature and ask them, what are we doing about this? I talked to one local one here, Jeff Partridge, and he believes that the smaller ones are going to be closing. I mean, smaller long-term care facilities. So an excellent piece here to be looking at there, and to share this. Okay. This may be what starts to get them thirsty. So that's the reason for that one there. Mariah covered this one here just a little bit, okay? On why in our due diligence we're able to find through principle at that very critical stage, stage 3 that she spoke of, how this particular tool, this product, could maybe very much help with the assets for your clients. You know, there may be opportunities out there, and believe me, your internal wholesaler knows this. What I mean by that is you don't have to know all the ins and outs of all those carriers that we have. That's what we have, our responsibilities of our internal wholesalers. And one of them could be in the arena of your client's health. I have a client who has this particular health situation. And if you notice this sheet here, it does not need to be signed by the client. The more information you can get to our internal wholesalers, such as Tara, the better it is. But with this information, we actually will go out to those different carriers and see what the best offer will be. When we send an application in, folks, we send that preliminary right in there also. So we say, look, John Hancock, we give you preliminary information, and here's what you thought you could make an offer. Unless there's a bunch of surprises, we expect that that's what the offer is going to be. So we're able to put the time and the efforts in on a preliminary basis, going to the next step of an actual application on people of certain health situations, or maybe a crop duster, maybe a special type of occupation. We're able to work with crop dusters and get that good offer there. The growing issue of marijuana in different states. We, again, know the ins and outs and which of our carriers work best with that. So keep this form handy. Go ahead and make yourself copies. It's got the fax number there and email there too, and just forward it, and then Tara will take it and work with it, as Jason will, and work there with you, okay? We, for years, have had then promotions for associates. If things go the way they are, next year we'll be in Costa Rica, working with agents there. Under this little booklet here, I'm looking at right now. This little booklet comes from One America. This is a sample of a booklet that you could give to a client. We here at Financial Markets will work with One America, and we can build a workshop in which you could invite your clients, and then we would then help you put on a presentation to make them thirsty. And this booklet here is a sample of kind of what they would leave with, and it covers the different areas that is be covered in the PowerPoint itself on that life event of long-term care. So this is a sample of what could be given to your client. We have a whole promotional campaign where we could start with emails, you could do social media, even scripts we have for radio. And then you could send out a card, and you could say maybe get individuals. We had one agency here in town that he had one start at around noon. He had a light lunch with the people, and then another one he had at 5:30. And he kept it just to maybe 10 individuals, but we covered these particular items there. In covering it doesn't say just one company of One America State Life. It's covering, again, the need of your client. This right here, you maybe saw some out there. We have these available to you. We have agencies that sometimes they are, say maybe a casualty agent. They don't sell a lot of life insurance. They will put these in their lobbies and things, and they find them very, very useful, okay? And you've got here, you can just slide this in like that you have out there. Principle, I believe, really looks at the need for businesses. And here's an example of a business market, and that being the agribusiness. Now they understand that when Deb works with them on the taxes in the agricultural, that they may want to show a negative all the time. In this agribusiness, they understand that. So they will ask them the questions on what then, how many cattle, the acreage and things like that, of getting what the starting point of what the evaluation of the business is. You're going to work with a set of accountants and attorneys, and they will then, if the case progresses, they will stay the whole process, and the beauty I like of it, they will then work with the underwriter. So the underwriter may say, well, how did we find this need here of needing $12 million of face amount? That accountant and that attorney would then work with that underwriter at principal. Also, that same team, that accounting, that attorney will talk to your client and their accountant and their attorney. It wouldn't be where they'll tell you, the agent, here's the information, but we won't talk to them directly. Principal, directly, they will let their accountants and their attorneys talk directly to your client or your client's attorneys and CPAs. But again, they seem to be jumping right into the niche, if you will, of the business market. So that's why I put this here. That's why I trust Principal. When they move towards the business market themselves, on the business market, non-agricultural, they will help you do evaluations. So you may ask them not only what's your tax entity, is it an LLC, sole proprietorship, partnership, when's the last time you had your business evaluated? They will then again assist that evaluation there. And again, they will talk directly with then your clients and their attorneys. And we hope that you'll trust us to let us help you with your client's need there. Now I'm going to move on to an area here we call recommendations. I said the theme was trust. The poem comes from a author. His name is Cody Fortner, F-O-R-T-N-E-R. And Cody has a poem called Trust. So my recommendation for the theme of trust is the poem Trust. Trust. On the song, what does it say? Say a quarter. In God we trust. And let's hope that never changes. This song is entitled, In God We Trust. The singers are Hillsong. How about the movie? The movie was a beautiful movie in 1981. It based upon a true story. You may know I like a lot of movies based on true story. And this movie was an Olympic story. It happened in 1924. It was about a couple athletes, and they had trust in each other, and they had trust in their belief. You see, one was a Christian runner, and the other was a Jewish runner. And they were somewhat persecuted in the country that they were going to run for. That was Great Britain. This movie was called Chariots of Fire, a movie on trust. And finally, my book I'd recommend. It's called The Genius of Setting Bull. And the author is Emmett Murphy. And he speaks of trust and building trust. Let me share with you just a quote here. All leaders must instill trust. Without trust, commitment will die. Community will die. There'll be a loss of consistency, a loss of purpose. You need to translate trust into action. It's the reason we look at who we're going to offer to you so you can offer to your clients. It's the reason we do lunch and learns. It's the reason we belong to NAIFA, NALBA, IDA, and many, many others. It's that trust, that sense of community. You need to translate trust into action by, number one, serve others first. Number two, honor and preserve the quality of life of your community. And number three, serve those who serve others. And finally here, my power phrase. My power phrase for the day comes from a gentleman some of you maybe heard of, Mr. Ben Feldman. No debt should last longer than the person who created. Should it? No debt should last longer than the person who created. And if they think, well, they'll pay the balance. Maybe they need what? To cover that need with life insurance. And then he goes, you can trust me. I have a personal solution for you. Trust me. I have a personal solution for you. You can trust what? God's plans for you is, man, capital G. God's plan for you folks is capital G. And now I have a phrase, and since we have a live audience here, I'll need you to repeat after me. Blessed are those.
Blessed are those.
Holy moly, Rocky. They're not Lutherans. You got to, even Lutherans sing louder than that. Okay? Blessed are those.
Blessed are those.
Who ease the pain of misfortune.
Who ease the pain of misfortune.
For they shall be called
For they shall be called
insurance agents.
insurance agents.
That being said, you have a good day.